In this, we're going to begin by taking out our easing on our keyframes. In order to do that, select the keyframes again, right-click on the keyframe, go to Temporal Interpolation, and you'll see that Bezier is basically the same thing as our keyframe interpolation, or changing the easing in, easing out. I'm going to change it to linear though, and you'll see they go back to diamonds, which means that I will not have the easing happening anymore. It'll be linear. Now I'm going to move, I guess I can move my keyframes basically to the end and see how that works. One way to keep track of where these keyframes is to drag your timeline indicator all the way to the far right. And what that's doing is that's dragging to the frame at the point where that video footage doesn't show anymore. And then what you do is hit your left arrow one time, and that goes back one frame. And at that point, you should see that you've got the indications right here that you've got keyframes. Do you notice how you have dots here? If I go somewhere else, they don't show. There they go. Let's see, that's where I have the keyframes. I'm Edit. Yeah, that's exactly where it should be. You can see that I'm on a spot that actually has a keyframe by the fact that it shows that I'm on a keyframe and I've got the arrows there. So anyway, we're going to add another piece of footage, so I'll right-click, choose Import, find another piece of footage that I think goes well with a clock, which really I have no idea what goes well with a clock. Maybe a whale for some reason. And I'm going to import this footage as well, put it next to the other one, and do a similar thing. Now you do want to make sure that you move your timeline indicator to that object if you want to be able to view the KenBurns effect for that object. And I'll set some sort of quality to begin with, or size to begin with, position and scale. Come back, and I'll have it kind of moving up. There we go. And by the way, if you're using the scale and position indicators to actually change your scale, if you hold down the Shift key as you click and drag on them, they'll go in larger increments. So here's my second animation. They're right next to each other. And I'm going to have that go all the way to the end, come back one frame, and then I'm going to drag my keyframes to it and hold down the Shift key and hopefully have them snap to that. That's another way of moving your keyframes to that exact point. You hold down the Shift key as you drag keyframes to your timeline indicator, and it should snap to it. Alright, so I've got my two video clips next to each other. Here's what they look like if I go down to my main timeline and hit the space bar. And you'll see right now they're a little jerky, and it might be because I'm viewing them with just a preview, but I want to add a transition between them. So I'm going to go to Video Transitions, Dissolve, which is the most common type, drag that transition between the two, and here's the problem that I want you to note. When you use transitions, it adds a little bit of time before your keyframes. So then you have to go back and adjust your keyframes to the right, and then adjust the other keyframes to the left. So this one is the ending keyframe. The footage going out has to go to the right. The footage coming in, the keyframes need to be adjusted to the left, so that now your transition between them, you don't see them stop. Otherwise, the two pieces of footage will stop and it'll look a little strange. So hopefully, if you have any questions on that, let me know, and we're going to go on.